This is the second part of Rare Earth by NotebookLM La Compagnie des ethnographes. We'll talk about the investment landscape, the financial outlook, geopolitics, ethical issues, and sustainable practices.
What does the landscape look like for rare earths from a financial perspective?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's definitely a hot area right now. Rare earth companies are seen as, strategic assets, and there's a lot of interest from investors who are looking to, capitalize on the growing demand for these materials.
Yeah, and I was doing some reading on this, and I came across this company called Energy Fuels.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought their story was pretty interesting. They were originally focused on uranium, and then they made this shift to rare earth production.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they saw the writing on the wall and realized that rare earths were going to be, a key player in the future, so they adapted.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty savvy move, to kind of pivot like that.
It was, and it's a great example of a company recognizing, an opportunity and aligning themselves with evolving global trends.
So for someone out there, who might be thinking about, dipping their toes into this market, what are some things they should keep in mind?
Well, I think the most important thing is to do your research, just like with any investment.
Right, don't just jump in blindly.
Exactly. You want to look beyond the hype and really assess the company's fundamentals.
So what kind of things should people be looking at?
Well, a few key factors to consider are the quality and size of their reserves,
Okay, makes sense.
the location of their projects, and any associated geopolitical risks,
Oh, right, yeah, we've talked about that.
the cost of production and processing, and their environmental track record.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one these days.
It is, investors are becoming much more conscious of environmental, social, and governance factors.
Yeah, ESG is definitely a hot topic.
It is, and for good reason.
So it sounds like there's a lot to consider when evaluating rare earth companies.
There is, but it's a fascinating space to watch, as the demand for these materials continues to grow.
Yeah, for sure. And we've been talking a lot about the responsible sourcing and, making sure things are done ethically. But, let's face it, there's always a dark side to everything. In this case, it's illegal mining.
Right, and it can be a very real and dangerous issue.
Yeah. One of the sources we looked at described it as, like something out of a thriller novel.
It's true, these illegal mining operations often pop up in remote areas with very little oversight or regulation.
So it's kind of like the Wild West out there.
It can be, and the consequences can be devastating, both for the environment and for the local communities.
Yeah, and it's not just about the environment either. One of our sources mentioned the use of child labor in some of these illegal cobalt mines in the DRC.
Right. It's a tragic reality. These operations often exploit vulnerable populations, forcing workers into dangerous and unhealthy conditions.
It's heartbreaking to think about.
It is, and they often completely disregard environmental regulations, leading to pollution, habitat destruction, and long-term health risks.
So it's a really complex problem with these far-reaching implications.
It is.
And I know there's no easy fix, but are there any strategies being used to try to combat this?
Well, it's a multifaceted challenge, but there are a number of approaches being taken. Governments are working to strengthen law enforcement efforts, crack down on smuggling networks, and implement stricter regulations on the trade of these minerals.
Yeah, but I imagine it's really hard to monitor these activities, especially in these remote regions.
It is, and that's where technology is playing an increasingly important role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some organizations are using satellite imagery and artificial intelligence to monitor mining activities and identify potential illegal sites.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a virtual eye in the sky.
It is, and it's helping to expose these hidden operations.
That's incredible. So we've got governments and technology working on this.
Right.
But is there anything that consumers can do, to help discourage illegal mining?
Absolutely. Consumers are becoming more aware of the origins of the products they buy and the conditions under which they are made.
Yeah, there's definitely a growing movement toward, ethical sourcing.
There is, and people want to know where the materials in their electronics, their cars, their clothes come from.
Right. It's not just about the price tag anymore.
No, it's not.
So by choosing to support companies that are, committed to responsible sourcing and sustainable practices, consumers can send a powerful message to the market.
Exactly. It's a way for individuals to leverage their purchasing power to drive positive change.
Right. It's about voting with your wallet.
It is, and the more consumers demand transparency and ethical practices, the more pressure it puts on companies to clean up their supply chains and operate responsibly.
So it's not just about, feeling good about your choices. It can actually have a real impact. That's encouraging. It shows that we're not powerless in the face of these challenges.
We're not. We have the power to shape the future through our choices and actions.
Yeah, that's a good reminder.